Hello, good morning, and welcome to the Virtual Village Hall. I'm really excited to tell you about a new series of workshops that we've got for 2025. These are all based on different artists, so well-known artists, artists that aren't quite so well known. What we'll be doing, we'll be finding out a little bit about them. We'll then do some exercises based on some of their work, and then I'm going to leave you with an exercise for you to do at home. So we're going to go straight in the deep end with an artist called Arthur Dove. Not just any artist though, an abstract artist. And he was actually called the American father of abstract painting. So we're going right in the deep end with that one. But before we start, just let me tell you a little bit more about the session. So they're about half an hour to 45 minutes long. So something that you can maybe do in a lunch break, maybe while dinner's cooking or when you put the kids to bed. We are going to go through some of their work, learn about their process, and also learn a little bit about them, what's behind their work, and stories about them. Then we're going to have a warm-up exercise just to kind of get us loosened up for drawing. Then we are going to do 3 exercises based on their work. And I'm going to show you a photo for those so you'll be able to copy from them. So the idea is to kind of give you some new techniques to do, to fill up your sketchbook with lots of different ideas, and also to learn a little bit about the artists as well. So we're going to be featuring artists, painters, textile designers, 3D artists, so sculpture, and a real range across the next year. So these are going to be once a month. They're very relaxed, very informal. I'm really excited about doing them. A little bit nervous about today because this is the first one that I've done. But I've got the wonderful Andrea behind the scenes who is going to help me to go through the slides and show you the correct camera angles. So hopefully it all works out. I'm sure it'll be all right on the night. Please do let us know what you get from these series. We'd love to see your work that you do. We'd love to know what you enjoyed about them and any other feedback so that we can make them better for you, because let's face it, that's what the Virtual Village Hall is for. It's for you to get the most out of these sessions. So Andrea, would you please bring up our first slide? Okay, so here he is, Arthur Garfield Dove. So he grew up near Geneva in New York. His father owned a brickyard, and also he was a building contractor, and he wanted Arthur to become a lawyer. But Arthur had other ideas. He was always interested in nature, always interested in art, and he was encouraged by a neighbour who was a naturalist, but also an amateur painter. So Arthur Dove became a magazine illustrator in New York City. It was during a long trip to Europe that he met some of the modernist painters that introduced him to these kind of styles of abstract. And it was on his return to New York in 1910 that he started experimenting with the natural world using abstract shapes and surreal colours. So his artwork was very misunderstood, like we could probably imagine back then, sort of in the early 1900s. But he continued to work. He went through lots of various family issues, but he worked until the last year of his life, which I think is really lovely. And as I said, his work was very abstract. So I don't know about you, but sometimes I'll look at a landscape and I'll think I would love to be able to paint that. I'm not a great painter myself, but I would love to be able to paint that. But he took it one step further, and he looked at a landscape and he painted how that landscape felt to him. So what we're going to do now is look at some of his paintings, and we're going to try and figure out what maybe he was feeling, but also what we can feel from those as well. So let's start with our first one. So this one is called Sunrise. He did a series of paintings called Sunrise, and I think this painting is almost a series of paintings in itself. because it doesn't capture, say, one moment in time. It's like a lot of that motion of as when the sun is rising. We don't see the actual sun itself, but we kind of feel these warm rays that are coming out, these different colours, these depths of colours. And you can see in the background there's like this dark cold colour, and perhaps that's the moon. And this is almost like the rays of sun are blocking out that cold and bringing light to the morning. So our next slide here, this is Pond in Sunlight. So this is actually one of my favourite pieces by Arthur Dove. I really love these colours. These colours definitely appeal to me. And there's so much confidence in these brush marks. There's very little overlapping. Each element stands on its own. And he actually lived for a time, for about 7 years, with his second wife on a houseboat. So we can imagine how many times he must have sat on the edge of the boat, just watching the sun catching the ripples of the water. We can imagine maybe lying in bed first thing in the morning, hearing the waves lapping against the side of the boat. And for this one, I just want to think about maybe sort of where the viewer is from the perspective, where we are as the sort of the viewer. Do you think we're looking down over the water? Or do you think we're looking at more of a landscape? Because there's some definite kind of geographical features there, maybe. So just something to think about. So our next slide is tree. Now, I don't know about you, but that doesn't really look like a tree to me, which is, you know, definitely an abstract idea. But is it maybe how a tree felt to Arthur? I don't know. There's some interesting details here. Let's start just with the background. So you can see that this is a watercolour, and the background has been put in after that main part of sort of the main part of the painting has been done, which is quite interesting. That made me feel that, you know, that's his focus. That's the tree. The abstract tree is his focus. So he's put that right at the front, and then he's filled the background in afterwards. And if you notice the white lines, you can't see it so well possibly on the screen, but if you notice those white lines, they're not actually white paint, it's the white of the paper. And I love it that he's left those. He's not tried to merge all of the colours and completely fill the background. It's something that I'd like to continue in my own work. And also we have there, you can see that the brush must have been quite dry. You can just see as the paint goes across the paper, it just catches the paper as the brush is quite dry. So that's the background. It's no surprise that at this time he was friends with the artist Georgia O'Keeffe. If you've ever seen any of Georgia O'Keeffe's work, you may see a real resemblance. Have a look at some of the sunrise paintings that Georgia O'Keeffe did, and you'll see that Dove and O'Keeffe's work really does mould together. So it's no surprise there. To me, this looks more like a shell than a tree. That's the sort of the feeling that I'm getting. And also like a peace lily with the stamen very upright. And it's quite interesting. There's a lily called the Titan arum, also known as the corpse flower. It's the one that really smells when it's in flower, and that goes through different stages of kind of metamorphosis, I suppose is the word, and one of those is very much like a tree. I'm not saying that he knew about this or that's sort of what he based it on, but I just wonder if he did know nature and he possibly read about these flowers. I was meant to say for this one before I go on to the next slide, I want you to close your eyes, and then I'm going to tell you when to open them, and I want you to let me know what the first thing you see. Maybe you just saw it then, I don't know. Let's try. Okay, so open your eyes. Now, like me, is the first thing that you saw, is that the eye, that eye in the middle of these storm clouds? This painting makes me feel very uneasy. I I don't really like it, if I'm honest, but I think it's a really good piece of his work to look at. It's the impending storm, isn't it? It's those storm clouds gathering. The colours are very muted, they're very earthy colours, and you can see that some are outlined in black. Not all of them, some of them are merging, and then some of them are this outlined in black. It shows the clouds as being very simplified into their most basic forms. So it's very abstract, we can see there. And as we said at the beginning, the first thing that really just jumped out is that eye. So he's personified this storm like it has its own, like it's its own living person, really. And I think that's kind of how he saw nature. We see this eye coming up in quite a few of his paintings. So maybe he saw nature as being a person and a companion, sometimes a good one, sometimes not so good. So let's go on to our next one. This is called Me and the Moon. So Dove was fascinated between the connection of visual arts and also of music. He often painted with music on, and also his paintings, they led to, sort of the music led to his painting. Now this one was made while his wife was away looking after her mother for about 2 months. And the only companion that he had really was the radio. So he would listen to that for company. And Me and the Moon is actually the title of a song that was popular at the time. Now, during his wife's absence, he tracked the moon through that 2-month period. And then when she arrived home, he stopped doing that. But notice some of the sky. So I love this gradient in those clouds. And then we have this highlighted line. Do you remember the dark highlighted line from the storm clouds? Well, this one's a light. This highlight is in a light line. Maybe just as the moon tracks across the sky, he's just following that with those lines. And once again, you know, we've got this idea that the moon is a companion, or a natural element is a companion. It's, you know, he's personified it again. So another sun painting. So this one is the morning sun. Now there's lots of movement in this piece. We can see the furrows, they're almost velvety. They've got this kind of fuzzy, furry kind of feel to them. There's so much texture in this painting. And if you look at it, you can almost split it down the middle, split it in half. So we've got the sun right at the top. Notice the eye again. Is that an eye? I don't know. I'll leave that for you to decide. And then we have this ray of sun that comes directly down the middle. And it reminds me of like religious paintings, religious iconography, where we've got this very symbolized sun with the rays of light emanating out, often above a religious icon, or maybe sort of Jesus or an angel. Now, I don't know that Dove was particularly religious. I tried to have a look for this, and it pretty much just said that he was interested in religion and spirituality. And I found a resource that said he embraced pantheism, which I think that's how you say it, which basically means that he identified God within the universe. Now, I don't know how much he thought about that in his paintings, but this certainly does give me an idea of that kind of religious iconography. So, as I said, we've split the painting in half. We've got the rays of sun bringing out these gorgeous velvet-like furrows in autumn, reds, browns, these golden colours. And then as your eye kind of goes to the side of the painting, we see the darkness come in. It gets a bit more wintry. I don't know what time of the year this is. I guess it's kind of ready for sowing seed, so it might be kind of early spring. And we've got these dark browns intruding almost from the side. And you can imagine how this must feel to be there, that those it's very cold. You know when you're sometimes, you can be in the warmth, can't you, in the sunlight, and then especially in the early spring or maybe autumn, you kind of just go into the shade and oh, it's so cold. And that's the feeling that I get from this painting. Also, another thing that I love is the way that the trees are backlit. You can just see that they're just shapes. They're not even, they don't really look like trees, but they give this feeling of these lovely trees that are sort of so solid in the background. And then again, this kind of idea of this gradient painting where we've got these different gradients as we go up to show that the sun is lighting it from the back. So fields of grain are seen from a train. Now another representation of shadows, but these are a bit more dramatic. The colours are very bold here, so not like those gorgeous rich autumn shades, but very bold, almost, you know, the main colours are primary colours. And he's only used a very small colour palette as well. There's probably only 3 or 4 colours making up this painting. And we've got lots of shapes symbolising trees, symbolising hedgerows, the furrows, maybe mountains, maybe the sea, maybe some sort of body of water. And just look how quickly it goes from the front to the back to the horizon. There's a lot of speed in this painting, and I think that if I didn't know the title of the painting, then I would definitely feel that this was someone in motion, that they've taken this idea of speed and they've put it onto the page. Also, these lines are very deliberate. If we flick back to the last slide, we can see those fuzzy, furry lines. These are a lot more deliberate, although yes, there's a little bit of painterly effect in there. They're very deliberate, very confident lines, far more smooth than the other. And then just thinking about, again, the perspective of the viewer, it feels like we're up high. It doesn't feel like we're in the picture. It feels like that we're looking down on the picture, just like maybe Arthur would have been as he went speeding past all these fields of grain on the train. So that's a quick brief view of Arthur Dove and some of his work and a little bit about his life. Now we're going to do just a quick warm-up exercise. We're going to flick back to my favourite one, if you remember, which was Pond in Sunlight. And we're just going to spend just a few minutes just warming up, taking some ideas from here and putting them onto our page. Now we're going to do 2 warm-up exercises, so nice and quick. So what I'm going to do, I will pop down here so you can see what I'm doing, but you can also see the painting as well. Put that bit further. Okay. So what I want you to do is take either a pencil, or you might want some charcoal, or perhaps you've got some just chalk pastels. They'll be fine. Just for this one, stick with black and white because we're going to go for some tonal shades. So what I want us to do is just take a quick look at the painting itself. So as I said, we've got these very deliberate lines. The elements don't really overlap each other. They're very standalone elements. But also look at the way that it's been painted. This part here, I don't think you can see my cursor, but on the left hand side we've got this almost sort of hill, mountain, rock like shape. That's very, very dark, whereas this kind of ochre mustard colour, that's quite lined. So that's what I want us to think about as we're drawing this in black and white tonal colours. When we've got a very dark bit, I want you to just colour it in. And if we've got a light bit, just use your pencil or charcoal, make it a lot more soft. And we're going to try and get some of these elements in. So I'm just going to give you a few minutes for this. So I've got a timer here. So let's just see. So let's just say 3 minutes. So when you're ready, we're going to draw the shapes that you can see on the screen, and then we're going to colour them in depending on the tone that we've got here. Okay, so when you're ready, go. So we're just drawing our basic shapes. This really doesn't have to be a masterpiece. This is really just a warm-up, just so we can start to get an idea of how Arthur Dove worked. As long as you kind of get those main sort of shapes in. I've gone a bit awry there, but that's fine because, as I said, it's just a warm-up. And then we've got this pink here. And then this shape here, which I don't know if this is the sunlight on the pond or if these are the, I don't know, but we'll see. Who knew? Who knew what he was thinking at the time? Okay, so now I'm going to start just shading. So this is very, very dark here. So we're going to colour that in completely. And then it gets lighter as it goes to the bottom as the paint ran out on the brush. You can see this part here is, as he's painted, you can see that he's just painted it like this sort of figure of 8. So that's what I'm going to do with my pencil. Just colour this in. But definitely leaving this part white here. And there's an overlap here. One of the few overlaps on this. So we've just got a minute left. And then this is very light, so just barely touching it. That round shape, possibly a sun. And then this has got lots of lines to it. So we're mimicking those brush strokes. And they're just really lovely fluid movements to do. Oh, we've got 18 seconds left, so I better be quick. I don't know where that time just went. So let's just quickly fill in this. So we've got dark and light as it goes along. A real mix. And then I'm going to put in a few more lines there. And that is our time. Okay, that went quick, didn't it? So how are we feeling? We're feeling a little bit loosened up. That's great. So we've got some tonal shapes there. Taken from Pond in Sunlight. So now we're just going to add some colours to this. So we're going to do exactly the same thing. So 3 minutes. That's back. 3 minutes. Grab some colours if you have them. So you might have some watercolours. I've got some pastels here, chalk pastels. So I don't think I said at the outset, but this session really isn't about buying new stuff. It's about using what you have. So, you know, you might some oil pastels. You could really have just some pencils, some felt tip pens, that sort of thing. So just use what you have to create these. It's all about just playing, having a go, maybe learning some new stuff. So again, we're going to take 3 minutes to do this one, but we're going to do this with colour. So I'm going to choose my colours. So he uses 1, 2, 3, 4 colours for this one. So let's have a look. We've got a dark blue, got light blue, not quite the right blue, but that's fine. That That's a bit too yellow, but I think it's the only yellow I've really got. And then we've got this light pink. Again, I don't think I've really got a light pink, but maybe I'll go purple. That purple will look a bit more. Yeah, that complements those quite well. Okay, so again, 3 minutes, and we're going to draw Pond in the Sunlight very quickly, just with our pastels, watercolours, pens, whatever you're using. Add a bit of colour. Okay, ready? Go. Okay. So again, we've got this lovely shape here. And you know this picture now. You've drawn it a few times. Oh, you've already drawn it once, and we've looked at it a couple of times. Then I think I'm going to go for this shape here. And that connects those colours here. There's a slight overlap there, actually. Don't forget our sun. So I'm looking at it again, and actually it's not too round. It's got a round top, and then it goes in slightly. So it's almost like a heart without the sort of the inverts at the top. Okay, so 1 minute 40 left. So I need to put in this dark colour. And I'm taking a little bit more time with this one than I did with the pencil, just checking out those negative spaces. Should stand up. And just how they briefly overlap. But barely. That's that. A minute left. Okay, so if you've just joined us, we are looking into the life and work of the abstract painter Arthur Dove. And we're just using some of his work just as a guide to find out how he painted. This is a watercolour painting. And I'm going to do that figure of 8 fill. And if you know, he's gone right off the page. Oh, and I didn't leave that line there. It's fine. Small one there. I'll leave that there. And it's just really interesting. The more you look at the painting, the more you see. And we've got 5 seconds left. And that's it. I think I'm just about done. Okay, but nicely warmed up. Ready to go on to our next exercises. There we are. There's our quick 3 minute black and white and colour sketches of an Arthur Dove abstract painting. Okay, so let's skip on. Right, I've got lots of stuff here, so I need to move things from my desk. And I'm going to skip on to our first photo. Which is this lovely windswept shoreline. So as we said, Arthur Dove painted what he felt, how he felt how the landscape made him feel. And we're going to do the same with this. So this windswept shoreline, how does it make you feel? Are you cold? Are you wrapped up from the warm? There's so much movement from the wind. There's movement in the grasses, the surf of the waves, and also those clouds are probably moving really quick too. So either in colours, or as we did it, just if you don't have any colours, just again use your pencil or charcoal. We are going to make an abstract piece similar to what we've just done with these pond in sunlight painting. Now, before you start, just take a quick look at this photo. I want you to just squint your eyes, and that will give you some of the shapes that make up this photo. So starting from the top, if I squint, I've got this black line at the top. We can almost see that storm clouds painting that we looked at earlier on. And then there is this white, and there's almost an eye there as well that I can see. Then going down, we've got this strong black, almost black line from the sea. And then these undulating dunes covered in grasses that must be moving frantically. So you can choose either realistic colours or go for something really surreal. I might actually just stick to these. Actually, I quite like that. Might add, again, I'm not really going to go with realistic colours. I think I'm just going to go with kind of how the painting makes me feel, she says, grabbing a green. So maybe they will be a little bit more realistic. Oh dear, that's not a very nice green though, is it? But that's fine. We're just, as I said, we're not after masterpieces here. This is just all about learning and having a go. So we're going to draw this landscape now. Shall I give you 4 minutes this time? Or I'm just having a look at the time. We're half an hour already. I'm just going to give you 3 minutes, I think, because that'll give us enough time to kind of make this a really nice little compact session. So when you are ready, 3, 2, 1, go. Okay, so I've got these great shapes here of the clouds. Now I'm going to talk through what I'm doing. If you really don't want to hear what I'm saying, if you just want a bit of peace and quiet, then please just do feel free just to mute me. You'll know when we're moving on to the next one, because I will change the photo. So I've got these clouds here. I'm going to leave this line. And then we've got these. So if I squint again, I can see that the grasses make up this shape. And I'm going to go over with and as I'm going over and over that shape, it becomes its own sort of identity, really. So I'm going to stick with this purple. Again, keeping these shapes really simple. And then just using some of that, the idea of that gradient that Dove used on some of his work. Just as I've got a little bit more time, I've got just under a minute left. I'm going to consciously leave this piece here, but I want the sky really to meet that shoreline. And I want to make this yellow more vibrant. Cool. And 11 seconds left, and I think I'm done. Okay, so that's as we end this one. There you go, that's your time, everyone. So we have abstract. Oh, you can see that. I'll go through these in a minute anyway on a larger screen, but so you can maybe just see the screen on the left hand side. Then we have our abstract piece. Actually, it does work better like that, doesn't it? That's the great thing about abstract. You really can just have it whichever way round you like. Okay, so for our second exercise, we're going to add a little bit of collage, and I've just realised I didn't get any collage paper out, so I might have to quickly go and find some. But while I'm doing that, just have a look at these leaves. So we've got 2 leaves here. I'm only going to ask you to draw one. If you want to, you can come back later and draw the other. I should also say at this point, please do the exercises in real time. So do them in 3 minutes, just while you're watching for the first time, because it is really good to give yourself those limitations. As artists, it's really great because you've got to make those quick decisions and then just do them. But you can always come back to this. If you've really enjoyed one of these exercises, then please just do come back, take a little bit more time over it. But I'd like you to decide which leaf that you want to make up in collage. We are going, you've got one, that must be the one on the left, I think is like in the autumn. So imagine how you feel. Are you wrapped up warm? And then the other one is in the summer. So you might be wearing, your clothes might be a bit freer. You know, you might just be in sneakers or maybe sandals having a walk, and you've picked up this leaf. So we're going to think about how this one feels. And while you do that, I'm just going to grab a bit of collage paper. Bear with me. Okay, and I'm back. So just grab a magazine, something like that. That's ideal. And just quickly looking, quite like this here. And again, we're going to have just 3 minutes to do this one. Just turn on the book. So we might not really have time to glue it down, but it'd be great if you can kind of just get some shapes onto your piece of paper. And also, just while you're looking at that photo, I just want you to think about that light that's filtering through those leaves, because they give you, you know, we can imagine if Arthur Dove had maybe drawn this, it would have that backlit feel. There would be this gradient as it goes up, but we're going to be doing this in collage. Dove did use collage in his work, but it was very kind of, I wouldn't say it's really abstract, it was more quite realist. He would just kind of stick leaves, twigs down. So yeah, but he also used to use sawdust and sand. He used to mix that into his paintings to give them real texture. But we're just going to try some simple collage. So grab scissors as well. So you can rip or tear this. So just to recap, we're going to be doing collage. We're going to be cutting abstract shapes from the paper. We're going to be using one of these leaves. Make your choice, one of these leaves to make our collage. And then what we're going to do, we're going to be adding just these we're going to be adding lines with, say, pencil or charcoal, just to bring that up into a little bit of composition that's going to represent those feelings and the surroundings of being in that wood, picking up that leaf. So when you are ready, I'll start the timer, go. So I'm going to do the one on the right. I've had enough of winter, so we're going to go in for summer. I'm going to be cutting mine, but as I say, feel free to tear it. So the shape really is representative. Think as well how it feels to hold onto that leaf. Is it windy and you're holding on tightly, or maybe it's so light you barely have to hold it? There's no wind at all. So that's about a minute done. So then I want to add my colours. I'm going to stick with my chalk pastels. So I'm very drawn to the way that the light is falling onto the leaves. But rather than drawing on the leaf itself, I'm going to do it almost like it's emanating from the leaf. And we've got these very light and very dark shades. Be good to get that stuck down, but I haven't really got time. So almost like the painting that we looked at called Tree, if you remember that, the tree was right in the middle, and then it was the painting was, the background was added at a later time, or sort of afterwards. So later time, but just afterwards really. And then we've got these very dark shades as well, that contrast. Yeah, we're just drawing how we're feeling, it's not representative of the actual picture, it's just a feel for it. I think I'm done. I've got 10 seconds left, so I'm going to finish there. And what's quite nice as well is the shape that it's left. So in fact, finish clock, thank you. I might just very quickly do. Just do this. Sorry, I will not get too carried away doing this. And that's given me that shape. Yeah, I like that a lot. Cool. So the great thing with this is, you know, you might end up doing something that you hadn't expected to happen as well. So pop it in your sketchbook and maybe use those ideas for a later date. I'd also quite like to fill that in as well, but that's for next time. That's when we finish this morning. Okay, so our final exercise is going to be based, this one side, is going to be based on this. So this is, we're going to call this a sound scribble. So as I said, Dove loved to merge the visual arts with the sound arts. And we're going to listen to a piece of music, possibly from the kind of sort of a flavour of the music that would have been around at the time. We're going to listen to that and use that music to draw these lines. So let's just take a look at the photo. So first of all, what sort of time of day do you think this is? We've got very long shadows, so it's possibly the evening. Could even be the early morning, but I think more likely the evening. And look at the sky as well. Those clouds, do you think they're moving fast or they're moving slowly across the sky? Those cypress trees look very still, don't they? They're very upright though. which I really like. It's going to be a really interesting part to our composition, I think. Maybe those branches are moving slightly. I don't know, just imagine yourself there standing on the grass. Maybe you've been taking a walk through the field, or you're going to that house for some dinner. How does that ground feel? Is it soft? Is it hard? Is it a bit waterlogged? So just think about those feelings as we draw the next bit. So the track is 3 minutes long, and we're just going to use the feel of the music. I'm just going to do this in charcoal. We're just going to use the feel of the music to create those shapes. We're looking at the shadows. Do you remember the great use of shadows that Dove used during the what was it, the, just quickly flick back, so we had morning sun, and also we had morning sun with those great shadows, and also fields of grain as seen from the train. Okay, so I'm just going to start my music. So the music's 3 minutes long. We're going to listen to it. We're going to think how this photo makes us feel. And we're also going to draw as the music feels as well. Okay, so it's a little bit of an ask. You might not have done this sort of thing before. Again, we're not after a masterpiece. Just have a go, really. Just experiment. You never know, you might like it. Okay, so I'll play the music. Okay, so you've got about 30 seconds left, or 20 seconds left. Okay, so that is your 3 minutes up. I must say, it did feel, the time felt a lot longer with the music than without before. Right, so let me do that off. Okay, there we go. A very basic kind of landscape. Yeah, I don't particularly like that one. I'm not sure I really learned anything myself, but hopefully you did. Please do let us know if you did. Okay, so very quickly then, we're just going to change the slide so that you can see larger what we've done today. Great. So Andrea will show us there. Brilliant. Thank you, Andrea. Okay, so let's just quickly go back. So we started off, here we go. We started off just with some really simple exercises, just recreating, copying. I know we're not allowed to copy, are we? But actually it really helps to kind of get into the mind of an artist and also to work out their processes. So we've got that there. So there is Arthur Dove's Pond in Sunlight, done in kind of a tonal version and then more coloured version. If you remember, these took us 3 minutes each, so they're really quick. No masterpieces here. We then moved on to, here we go. We moved on to this kind of seascape, this very windy, very blowy, using some of those ideas from Sunlight, Pond in Sunlight, to make those up. Again, 3 minutes long. We then did a little bit of collage, which I took off because I thought, oh, here it is. There we go. So we did a bit of collage just based on the nice basic shape of a leaf, and just looking at that sunlight and imagining how we would possibly feel. And I quite liked it without the leaf to give that shape. That's kind of gone a little bit sort of religious iconography, I think, as well, with those sun rays coming out. Again, 3 minutes long. And then finally we did a sound scribble, just listening to music, using that photo on the right as an example, just to give us a feel of what we could be doing. Oh, so that was quite a whistle-stop tour of Arthur Garfield Dove, the American father of abstract painting. I hope you've really enjoyed today's session. Please do let us know how you found it, what else you'd like us to do in the session, what worked really well, what didn't work so well, so we can really make this just for you. So thank you for joining me, and also don't forget to share your photos, because we can't see the work that you're doing. We always love to see it here on the Virtual Village Hall, so please do share your photos in the comments. That would be fantastic. You can always save this video for later. You can watch it on replay. It will be on the Virtual Village Hall Facebook page and also YouTube channels, so you can watch it whenever you like. You can pause any bits, you can rewind any bits, and it'd be great as well to just do a little bit more of your own research on Arthur Dove. Really fascinating abstract painter. So next week, I'm just going to show you a slide again. So just one more slide, please, Andrea. Thank you. Oh, and oh, do you know what I've forgotten? I said I was going to send you off to do a little bit of homework, didn't I? So what I would love for you to do, if you've really enjoyed kind of experimenting and exploring abstract paintings, then I would love you to take one of the exercises that we've done today. So it might be the collage, it might be tonal, it might be a sound scribble, or it could be just like big blocks of colour. To take those ideas and represent it, use them to represent this painting, so you this photo. So you could take a screenshot if you want, or if you're watching replay, you could pause this and work on it. Again, I would give yourself a little bit of a time limit, because that does always help make decisions. So maybe anything from 15 minutes to, I don't know, 45 minutes, an hour, depending on how much time you've got. And again, we would love to see the results. So next month, we will be looking at the artwork of Rachel Royce. I'm not going to attempt to pronounce it in her mother tongue. She was a Dutch painter, and we will be learning lots and lots from her about imperfection in nature, and just her beautiful, beautiful, stunning artwork. So please do join me on Thursday, the 27th of February at 11 AM. We'll be doing a very similar thing, using Rachel Roish as our inspiration. So thank you so much for watching. I look forward to seeing you again soon. Take care, and have a great day. Bye.